What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode. I know you've been waiting and missing us.
It's been like 2 weeks.
It has been.
Maybe
well,
longer.
I was going to do this whole build up to make it look
sorry.
like
Oh,
it's fine.
my
It's
bad.
only been 2 weeks. Apparently, Ian does not think that I should give the whole build up to y'all missing us, but we know you did. We know you missed us. Anyway, it has been only 2 weeks, but we're back.
2 weeks is a long time when you
That's
don't
true.
get Ty Barnett and Ian Harris.
That's true.
How do you live?
You see that? See, he brought it back.
See?
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Anyway, welcome to a new episode of Critical and Thinking. I'm Ty Barnett.
I'm Ian Harris, and we are joined in a studio by Ryan Bell.
What's up,
Ryan?
another
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
That's
For
2 weeks
sure.
in a row. We got in studio guests.
Yes, that's how we started, and then now we're back. So, but we don't usually always have in studio guests live, which is good. So really quick before we even go on,
Hello, Matthew.
Ryan? Why
Susan.
don't you introduce a lot of people on my Facebook friends, and since we're on Facebook Live, will know who you are. Our general audience might not. So give a little background of like how we know each other and you know what your backstory is.
Sure, yeah. I just met Ty today, which is a huge privilege.
Thank you.
Yeah,
man. Same
yeah.
here. Same
White
here.
privilege.
Big.
Hilarious. And we're off.
So I know Ty through the skeptic and secular and atheist community.
Not Ty.
Ian. This is Ian. This is Ty.
Yes.
I'm wearing a hat.
That's right. That's how I'll keep it
That's
straight.
how it is.
So I was a pastor for about 20 years in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is a very conservative, fundamentalist, sort of American version of evangelicalism. And over the years, I'll keep it real brief, I just became more and more progressive in my views. And eventually in 2013 was asked to leave that occupation by my boss. And
The Lord? I'm just kidding.
yeah, the Lord. Yeah, the president of the regional, his representative on earth.
How'd that happen? Lightning strike.
Yes.
Right.
Hey, Tanya. How you doing? Hey, Richard.
So all right, cool. And then so in 2013 you were asked to leave.
I was asked to leave. I was fired, and then I started a blog in 2014 called Year Without God that got a lot of press, and that's where I met a lot of cool people in the secular movement. And my blog was basically about exploring my former beliefs, looking into atheism, what it was that atheism was about. And after a year of that, I was an atheist and a humanist. I consider myself a humanist.
I like that. I like that term.
Yeah.
I like humanists. I like that.
Now I work at the
Yeah.
Secular Student Alliance. I have a podcast called Life After God, which we can, I'm sure, promote the shit out
Yes,
of
exactly.
in a few minutes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
and
I love it.
and hopefully and Ty and so now Ryan's running the SSA Secular Student Alliance, which is a really great group that supports it's college and high school, right? Like,
Yep.
they're high school groups, and I think it's really important because a lot of kids are, when we say secular, people go, what does that mean? Sometimes that's used synonymously for atheism, but it just means it doesn't mean atheist necessarily. It just means it's
It just means you're going to hell.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
but
joking,
but
I'm
it's I don't even know if it's irreligion necessarily. I don't know what the exact definition of secular, but that's
Right.
that's basically it's people who don't have religion.
Yeah, one of the ways that we talk about it is that we want to maintain a neutral public.
Right.
So we don't, secular values means that we don't privilege religion in the public life.
Right.
So atheists, you could be Buddhist, you could be Muslim, it doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe, you
Right.
still have the same access to the public square.
Right. And previously, like in schools, there is none of that. There's always like Christian groups.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's other religious groups, but usually just Christian groups.
Yeah.
And they do get privilege a lot of times in school. And it's and a lot of kids that don't have that, they feel really marginalized and left out and like they have no voice. And nowadays the new polls are that atheism or non-belief, nuns are the biggest, I don't want to say religion, but that's religious belief. It's no religious belief is obviously put in as a religious belief, but we're the second largest.
Right.
I mean, if you obviously Christianity as a whole, but if you faction off Catholicism and whatever and branch it out, 26% or something like that are now non-believers.
That's right.
And that's a huge number to not be represented by kids in school.
Right.
Like these kids feel left out. I mean, my daughter went to that Camp Quest many times when she was younger, and there were kids that would come from like Bakersfield and places. You know, we're in California, and we're in Southern California. My daughter, probably every other kid she knows, is not necessarily Christian, maybe atheist, maybe just an agnostic, whatever. But there were kids from like Bakersfield that would come to camp, and they'd be like, I didn't know that other kids didn't believe like I do. Like they just, and it's crazy. It was like, it's like a super minority in a lot of places.
Well, what's happened is, especially in our current climate, is religion has been infused way more than it ever should be. So I think that's another reason why these kids are feeling that way, because you literally have the separation of church and state. That's why it was set up.
Right.
Because you can't be making political decisions based off of your religious beliefs, because you can't prove your religious beliefs.
Right. And everyone has different ones. It's an opinion.
Right. So these kids coming up now, I think they feel like, oh wow, it's okay for me to have a different belief now. So when they go to these camps and they see that these other kids believe these things as well, I think it's healthy. But what I think the problem is that the adults are trying to trickle their beliefs down to these kids and fuck up their belief system instead of saying, no, just be a good person.
Right.
Just be a good person. You don't have to believe in the thing in the sky and all of this stuff. Just be a good person. But now you got these people that grew up on religion, and I got relatives of mine that same way that base their life solely on a book. They base their lives and I said you can't be that type of person, because if you did live it by the book, it'd be a lot of shit you just wouldn't do.
Right.
Period.
Or
Period.
can't do if you
Or
want
can't do.
Or
keep your
would
hand-
do
right.
that you should not do.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So I feel
Talking to you, slavery.
exactly.
Child abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear me?
You know what I'm saying? Eating pork. But here's, and I think now, especially now when you guys, because I want to see, like, let me ask you, was it a hard thing for you to do that 1 year? What was the turning point for you? What was this? Do you have a specific turning point for you where you said, okay, hold up, now I have to think about things differently? What was that?
Yeah, I think, it really was a long, slow process. It took many years. And because I was not just a church member in the pews, I was the pastor, I was able to choose what to focus on and what not to focus on. So as I sort of lost some of the beliefs, I was able to just kind of ignore those. So for example, there was a point at which I thought the whole idea of heaven and hell just didn't make any sense to me anymore. Like it seemed so like not in the character of the God that I thought.
Have you been to Bakersfield? I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had to put it in perspective.
Yeah, it's about like that, I would say. It must be something like that. So I just would not preach about those things. I'm like, I don't know if I really believe in hell anymore. So I had the luxury of just saying like, oh, I'm the pastor, I don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
So little by little, I would change the focus of what my church focused on based on what I believed or didn't believe. And so I never really embraced this whole 6-day literal creation thing. I just never made sense to me. Even as a conservative Christian, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I just didn't preach about 6-day literal creation. I didn't preach about evolution either. I just left it alone, It's like, so little by little, that just started whittling away at everything until, it's almost like whittling a stick, and pretty soon you got no stick left. You just whittled the whole thing. And so the last real thing was LGBT, and especially T. Inclusion and involvement in the church. And so when a trans woman joined our church and she was going to become one of the lay leaders, one of the non-clergy leaders in the church, the denomination was like, time out.
See? There we go.
And that was one of the issues. It was there were a bunch of other policy things and things that I won't bore your guests with because they don't really relate to everybody. It's very specific denominational squabbles in the Adventist church, but
for you,
that was it. I was out.
When you saw that discrimination against that trans person, that's when you were like, well, hold up. You guys really aren't honoring what I've been taught to honor.
Yeah. Well, and it was separation of church and state issue, too, because back in 2008, when we had that Proposition 8 struggle here in California.
They were telling people to vote a certain way, right?
Yeah, they were telling people to vote for Prop 8, yes on Prop 8, which would discriminate against same-sex couples. And that actually passed, of course, as probably most everyone knows, and eventually the Supreme Court in California overturned it, so it's all good now. But that was a huge religious push. I know, the California would go that far. So our church in Hollywood took a stand against Prop 8 while the denomination was for Prop 8.
Right.
So
what up, Marty?
We really came crosswise with the church at that point. And I thought maybe I'd get fired over that one, but they kind of let me go and let me keep going. So once I left the church, once I was shown the door, then I really had
You
to
were
think
shown the
about
actual light.
the actual
Shown
light.
the door, and there's the light.
I was like, oh.
It's like that, was that scene in the Blues Brothers when the light comes through the thing and he starts dancing.
Or here's one. How about when Truman bumps into the wall, you know, in the Truman Show?
Oh.
He's sailing out, you know, conquering his fear of the water, and he's like sailing across the ocean, not knowing what's on the other side, and he like bumps into the wall. And there's a door, and he's like, oh, I'll just go through that door.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like that.
Did you find, because like I didn't grow up having to go to church. They tried to force it. I know what you did, aunties and grandma. They tried to force it on us. And the only reason we didn't mind going to church is because we got really good cake. They always had really good cake at church.
After church.
Or as Trump
always.
says, you get your little wine and that little cracker thingy. It's literally his
Little
words.
wine.
I get my little wine and my little cracker thingy.
I'll tell you something really quick. I'll tell you. I went to church. I went to church with my girls for her dad. He passed. And I don't know a whole lot about these types of things. I just know I went to support my girl and, you know, her dad passing and all this stuff. So they go up for the blessing, and the guy's doing the thing, and you know they got the body of Christ, and they got the wine and everything, right? So the dude is handing out the thing, and so she says to me, "Well, when you go up, you know, do like this, you know, hold
Wakanda forever."
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm thinking that, okay, I'm going up to get the thing,
Right.
you know, the thing, right? So I go up, and he's giving the body of Christ to everybody, and people are drinking from the cup, right? So he gets to me, and he just says, all right, you're blessed, but he doesn't give me the body of Christ. So I'm like, I walk off like, hey, am I blessed or what? Why didn't I get a cracker? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's like, well, no, if you want one, go get one. I was like, no, I'm just saying, was I blessed or not? Because I'm supposed to get a cracker. But here's the thing that trips me out more is like, as much as I want to believe in all of this greatness, I was sitting there thinking, if it takes me drinking from that same cup as everybody else didn't drink, I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna take. I'll just stay not blessed. For
No
this moment.
germaphobes in heaven. Yeah, no germaphobes in heaven.
That's what it was. I was like, I'm not. Nah,
It would be
nah.
hilarious. Whip out a Clorox wipe.
They do have that. No, the priest has that. They wipe the thing and then they.
Yeah, but your lips will still touch the
You're like,
inside. I'm good.
today I got blessed and herpes.
See, exactly. So that's why I say, like, it trips me out though that people, you know, still live their life by a certain way. Which I don't judge people, because I've told Ian this story about a friend of mine many times. He changed his life based off his religious beliefs. Like, he used to be on crack, like a really bad low point. He changed his life. So I said, those types of people, I don't judge. Hey,
Whatever works, right?
If it helps you. My problem is when people use religion as a tool to discriminate, to hurt, or to, you know, marginalize anybody else. And that's what you're seeing a whole lot of now.
Right.
You know, when you see these people talking about, no, you got to save the fetus, save the fetus, save the fetus. And then when the baby is born, you're like, well, where did it come from? No, not from here. Fuck that fetus. You know, fuck that baby. You know what I'm saying? That's where the problem is, and we're seeing a lot of that now.
Yeah, and I want to get to later on today when we get out here. Trump's comments about late term abortions, which are absolutely
We were
hilarious.
just talking about that.
Oh my God.
We'll get to that at the end. We'll maybe do something a little funny thing about that at the end.
Christ.
But you know, really quick. So, speaking of progressive, a lot of talking about the Joe Biden jumped in the race. A lot of people aren't happy about that.
You're not a Joe Biden fan.
Yeah.
No, not. I'm not a Joe Biden fan. I am just more like, I'm tired of Democrats, liberals, and these people picking every fucking thing you can about the person to say, well, I'm not going to vote for that person. There's a racist in the office now.
You know how much shit I've been getting lately? I keep posting stuff. I've been saying like blue no matter who, and I get these like my super Bernie bro friends. By the way, I campaigned for Bernie. I did 2 comedy fundraisers for Bernie, and I voted for Bernie. Motherfucker lost, so then I voted for Hillary.
Yes.
Okay,
Like all rational people.
and I did all the research because I'm like, man, some of this shit seems. And I'm like, oh, did she really do that? Did she really do that? I did all the actual research.
And she
Turns
did.
out all of it, except for maybe 1 or 2 small things, was bullshit. But the thing that's killing me is I have friends that are still like worse than Trumpsters almost on
Ain't
my.
that bad.
That's my my sister. But But it's crazy to me. I'm saying, look, my friend said, oh, well, that's what's going to get us to lose, and blue no matter who, and blah, blah. And I'm like, no. They said, so you don't think we should vet? I said, I'm not saying we should vet. Look, if you're a Bernie supporter, if you're an Elizabeth Warren supporter, go out there, campaign, say why they're the best. It convinced me that Elizabeth Warren should be the one to fucking get it. Convince me, do all that. But also, don't find every dumb little thing to nitpick and tear. We're tearing everybody down to where we're going to have zero fucking viable, and Joe Biden's going to win by 21%. And somebody else is going to have 20, and somebody else is going to have 19, and we're going to be great. He's got 20%, 21% of the support, and we've already done all their fucking dirty work for him. Yeah. So it's like, look, let's let somebody emerge, and if somebody does something egregious, sure, but it's like, I've seen people like, oh, he used the wrong pronoun. That guy's fucking off my list. I'll never. Come on, dude, chill for a fucking second, and let's see what emerges. Mayor Pete, not my favorite, but he said one thing that people were like, he's off my list. I'm like,
Camilla
really?
Harris.
Yeah.
People are mad at Camilla Harris. Come on. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. She said she smoked weed and listened to Biggie and Tupac in college. She wasn't in college then. What? Shut the fuck up.
Well, now the big thing is that she has a gun. That she has a gun.
Listen.
So what? A lot of people have guns.
I've been wait a minute. Give me 2 seconds.
She says she has a registered gun.
Understand something. This is what I have to give Trump supporters credit for. I have to. At this point, it's nothing but credit. They are cool with going over the cliff with this motherfucker.
Right.
They're totally cool with it. They don't care that he's dumb as fuck. They don't care that he's corrupt as fuck. They don't care that he's racist as fuck. They don't care that he sexually assaults people and brags about it. They don't even give a fuck that he's taking their Medicare. They just want to feel like they're winning.
I've heard people say, no collusion, but he definitely obstructed justice. He tried to obstruct justice, but he didn't. And my friend was going, well, so what? If you try to murder somebody and fail, there's
attempted murder.
It's literally something called for that.
Yes, exactly.
So I guess my issue is, and this is what I want to ask you, Brandon, is that what do you think it's going to take for Democrats, liberals, and all these people to come together and just say, okay, you guys, the person that you may want is not the perfect person, but we cannot let this dude get another 4 years. What will it take for that to happen? Or is that even possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Donald Trump's going to be hard to beat, unfortunately.
That's what a sad fucking statement.
I mean, but you just said
Which
it too.
is more an indictment on the country than him.
You just said it too. Like, these people are going to go over the cliff with him. So there's a certain percentage of people. What's his approval rating? Something like 36 or 37. Yeah. So just that right off the top, there's going to be 36 or 37% if we just just spitballing, and I think that he's a troll. Right. And people kind of get their shits and giggles out of that, and so they think he's funny, or they think he's edgy, or they think he's courageous for saying what he thinks, even though what he thinks is horrible.
Right.
So I think
he hates the Jews, but he's honest about it.
He's honest about it. Yeah. Exactly.
He's a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter, yeah.
Literally.
But I think we need to find someone, from the Democratic field, and I'm not opposed to this wide field. I think, on my good days, I believe in democracy. I think by letting people dig into these things and look into them and vote, that we will find the person that most people want. Whether that person's going to be the person I want, I don't know. But what I think is that the primary season is for this. The primary season is for the Democratic Party and all voters on the left, on the Democratic side, to vet their candidates. And and I think we do need to aim high. Like, we should not just let a beating Trump sort of like cook our brains into thinking that nothing else matters. Like,
what the fuck do we want with the country?
What's the vision
Not
that
just
we
what
have?
we don't want. What we do want.
And I think people that voted for Trump actually thought wrongly that he was going to help them with some things.
12% of Bernie voters voted for Trump, which is amazing to me. Which means it makes me think that they don't read. Or don't know what their policies are, because it's like
right there. He said something to them though that made them feel like he was on their side.
I'll tell you what it is, and I think, and we saw this in the last election. We had the blue wave, we had a decent, but here's one, and people are like, I see all my progressive friends, all my centrist friends, all saying that they were the winners in that. Everyone's like, look at this place, however many 10 of these Congress people were centrist. And so, oh, no, 10 of them were progressive. And somebody else going, 12 of them were women. It's women. And it's like the difference is that in every one of those areas, the really progressive people were somebody who was already centrist and it went more progressive. In the Republican-run areas that we won, they went centrist, so they went more left, but they weren't going to get the progress. So everything is moving left. Yes, the Republican, the ones that are further right, they might not go super progressive, but they will go further left. The people that are already on the left are willing to go more left. The reason women and we had like 4 military women or something like that. The biggest thing that I noticed is outsiders. Even Beto did very well because he's not considered a politician, right? Anybody who's not a politician won. And that was the thing about Bernie. He's not establishment Democrat.
Well,
no,
okay,
I'm saying that was that's the line on him. And Trump,
he's an independent.
And Trump was less establishment than Hillary, according to those people. So they voted not on policy; they voted on who wasn't establishment.
But now those people, and to Ryan's point, is that now you're saying that he made all of that shit up.
Oh, he's more establishment than anybody. He's the most establishment guy we've ever fucking had.
I mean, he's corporate. He's not political establishment until now. He's a president of the United States, but he's a different type.
But he went along with all those fucking corporate establishment, political establishment guys, Paul Ryan and all those guys. He's just doing all their fucking bidding.
Yeah, he's an elite. You know, he's an elite of that crowd. I think what will appeal to voters is a candidate who addresses their needs. You know, I think this is the number one thing, a candidate who addresses their needs. So when someone like Elizabeth Warren says, look, the burden of school debt is crushing a huge productive portion of our economy, we should forgive that debt, and we have the money to do it if we just put a slightly larger tax burden on the top 50 families. Like, it doesn't even have to. It's like 50 people.
Exactly.
It's fucking insane.
You know, and they don't need that. And they've gotten that money. It's ill-gotten.
But you got poor people fighting for that not to happen.
But that's where we need to explain that to people repeatedly and patiently. And I think someone like Elizabeth, someone like Bernie can do that. I think he can explain it to them. Someone like I would love to check off all the boxes of the things that I want. I would love a younger person. I would love a person of color. I would love a woman. You know, I don't know that we're going to get all of that in one package.
I've heard people say, I will not vote for another Biden, Beto. I will not vote for another white man. I'm like,
but what if he's got
Trump is a white man? If you don't vote
he is going
for who
to
we
win.
get, you're going to get a fucking white man anyway. So let's vote for whoever the fuck is not
because
Trump.
The incumbent has the edge always. So the incumbent always has the advantage. So not voting is a vote in a sense for
that person. And that's what I don't. This is the part that I'm trying to get people to understand. And just for 2 seconds on a same subject, but it's more specific to people of color. Because to be honest with you, I totally understand if white people don't vote. I totally get it. If you say, you know what?
You can afford not to, maybe.
You can, because nothing is going to change for you. Nothing in this world is going to get worse for you than it already is. It will. Cops will. No, hold on. The cops will still be on your side. The system will still be on your side to a pretty much degree. You don't have anything to lose. The problem with me is that I'm seeing. I got into it with somebody today on Facebook. Is when people of color act like, oh, well, it's no big deal. It is a huge fucking deal. Hate crimes have gone up since this dude. You can act like and say some dumb shit like, oh, well, have they gone up or are we just seeing them more? Shut the fuck up. They have gone up. This is a fact.
Yeah.
Then when you sit here and act like, oh, no, it's not going to make a difference in, well, what about people's policies? What policies has this dude implemented, Trump, that have made your life better as a person of color?
Not the tax bill, by the way.
None. No.
Which was the only possible thing out there that
and everyone says, oh, unemployment. But first off, I saw several stories about people talking about global unemployment is way down.
Way down.
And it's a global thing, first of all. Second of all, it's a trend that's been going on for over a decade.
Right.
I mean, it's 3.9 or something. It was 4.6 under Obama from 9. So the greatest change has been
under Obama.
And second of all, unemployment isn't the end all be all. You could have a job and still need 4 more jobs to pay rent.
Right.
So And some of the thing they're saying is people have the reason unemployment's up or so
they have
down,
multiple
'cause they have
jobs.
multiple jobs.
They have multiple jobs.
But and still
Oh, they're double dipping in the numbers.
right.
Oh, wow.
And still not being able to afford to
And
live. So it doesn't matter if you have a job if you can't fucking afford rent. If you have a job and you're fucking homeless, then unemployment doesn't mean it. Yeah, it doesn't fucking mean anything.
And that's why
It's
I'm
one
saying
metric.
this is why I say the issue with me is that the education of people has which will lead us into the other thing we're talking about with felons and stuff. But the education of people, knowing that, which is weird because we have more information literally at our fingertips now, and we have people that are dumber. And I think part of the reason is because back to the thing I said about the race thing, is that there are people who feel like if this dude stays in another 4 hours, I wish it was just 4 hours.
I know.
If this dude stays in another 4 years, it's not going to be as bad for me as a white male. White women, I still don't understand why you don't think that it's going to be a fucking
But
problem.
honestly, gay people, fucking atheists, Jewish people, Muslim, anybody who's not a white Christian
Evangelical, yeah.
I don't fucking understand what you're getting out of this, dude. But the other thing is this: is for me when someone says, "Oh well, I don't like that Bernie said this. I don't like that Elizabeth Warren does this. I don't like that so and so does this," and I'm like, okay. So when I'm saying blue, no matter who, yes, I want to get the best candidate. I want the one.
course.
I want to get the one that can win, that has the most. But the point is, like the people that voted for Trump instead of Hillary. I'm like, okay, let's see. Bernie, you agree with Bernie on 100% of the issues. Hillary agreed with Bernie on 90% of the issues. So you voted for the guy who agreed with Bernie on 0% of the issues. How the fuck do you reconcile
that math
those?
doesn't even make sense.
Because this one's too corporate?
Yeah.
What the fucking billionaires, not corporate? What the fuck?
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
make
like
any
cutting
fucking
off your
sense.
nose to spite your face. I mean, it's literally like shooting yourself in the foot to make a
point.
Like a point on Twitter?
And they're willing to do it, and they're willing to do it again. And here's my thing: Am I for Joe Biden? No. Will I vote for Joe Biden if he's the guy in a fucking heartbeat?
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is that even if Joe Biden is a corporatist, and even if Joe Biden, voted back for the Clarence Thomas thing, and screwed over Anita Hill back in the day, and even if all those things, you know what? Trump has done all
of
those
that
things
and
times
more.
10 a day. So yeah, maybe he's reconciled, maybe he hasn't some of those things, but you know what? He's still infinitely fucking better than the dude we have. And my point is this: you need to first off try to get the best candidate that you like, but also we need to get a candidate that can win.
Yeah.
Like my favorite candidate in the race is Elizabeth Warren. I love Elizabeth Warren. I wish she'd run in 2016.
5% though.
I love her. I think she's super smart. I think she's a bulldog sometimes. Like she hasn't been lately ever since the DNA test thing. But before that, it was like she was. You'd see a video of her every day. Just fuck this guy. Like just go. And I was like, yes.
Which,
I love. But can she beat Trump in his game of?
I think
I don't know.
Here's the thing about electability, and there's some articles that have come out recently about electability, and it's a thing that none of us know. Like,
Right.
we're guessing about it, and I think that it's foreclosing the conversation before we've had it.
Right.
To say, oh, that person's not electable. You don't know that.
Because you don't know what momentum in another
Right.
18 months is
The
going to happen too.
People are electable who get elected, and so you have to build a ground game,
Right.
and you have to get out the vote,
Yeah.
and you have to elect them. I mean, anybody ostensibly could be electable.
Right.
I think what people are saying is, oh, will people vote for
What
a
up, Matt?
woman?
Right.
You know, we think in advance we've decided that they won't, so
Right, so
we're going to
therefore-
give up on her.
Here's one thing that I would say to that. First off, whoever gets the momentum is electable.
That's right.
Here's one. I've been saying this for a while before he even joined, and the people, again, white guys, so they're like, people don't want to hear me say it. You know who I actually think is super electable if he does the right thing? Okay, then we can say it with anybody. But I really believe Beto could win, and the reason is, and he's not my favorite by any stretch. I'm not saying he's my favorite. I'm saying he could win. The reason is young.
Mm-hmm.
We always like young, good looking. And I actually think white man,
Tall.
Yeah, white man helps right now because of the climate.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that are racist and sexist that wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton and might not vote.
And they're not gonna vote for Kamala Harris. Either.
Right.
They're not gonna vote for her.
Kamala. Okay. use the wrong. Okay, I'm just fucking. But no, but I don't know if it's Kamala or Kamala. I have no idea. But
no, but have the confidence of a white man.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Ian.
I'm trying to
Appreciate
white explain to you for a second.
Hilarious.
But I think here's the reason I think Beto could win, and for one reason only. Aside from all the white men might actually vote for him when they might not vote for Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris or whatever. But here's the thing. He is an outsider still. He's still kind of seen as an outsider by a lot of people, even though he's somewhat of a politician. He was really good at motivating and getting people. He went to every district in Texas.
Yeah.
He didn't win, but he came close to beating Ted Cruz, which no one has ever even come close to because he got so many people on board. But here's the thing. Texans are a weird breed. Texans love everything Texas. It really is true. Anything, if you're a homegrown Texan, even if you're black and gay and liberal, they'll be like, he's a Texan. Like, you know what I mean? There's a thing about Texas pride. And there is. And I think that if he was the candidate, a Texas white man was the candidate, and he went around and talked to all those people and said, look, I'm going to get you health care, I'm going to do this. And he went around and talked to all those people like he did, times 10 with people. He could win Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is a lot bluer than people think it is. And
That's true. There are blue
he could win
pockets.
Texas. And if you win Texas, New York, and California, that's enough electoral votes basically to win.
Yeah, but and I want to just.
I mean, think about that. That's like what, 200 electoral votes right there.
To everyone out there watching on there, just so you know, we also we are Facebook Live, so sometimes we'll take comments from people on here. So I wanted to what you just said just now, Tanya. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? By the way, Tanya says we've got to keep an eye on the behind-the-scenes people, entities who are actively working to tear down all of the Democrat candidates. We have to be better at not taking the bait and not spreading that bait on social media.
That's what I was saying.
And you're absolutely right, Tanya. And that's to Ian's point. And this is why I think the Republicans are banking on. This is exactly what they're banking on, us not being unified. So, like I said,
that's what the whole Russian campaign was about.
All of it. So if your candidate does not get the vote, make the nomination. If your candidate does not get the nomination, accept that your candidate did not get the nomination, but understand that let me tell you something. Every single person that is running as a Democrat is a better choice than the dude
every
that's in
fucking
office.
one.
Every last one of them. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because one, you said, well, we don't want somebody without experience. You elected a dude that's a fucking reality show star. We don't want somebody that's in there that's corrupt. Trump. That's all I'm going to say on that. We don't want somebody in there that's going to be doing nepotism. Trump.
We don't want another white man.
Trump. You know what I'm saying? We don't want somebody that's going to not drain the swamp. Trump. Everything that you're saying that you don't like about these other people, we already have it. So it can't get, the only way it can get worse is if you empower this dude by saying, look, this is what the country wants. And this is what I keep telling people. Until we address this one thing about this country was founded on corruption and the taking advantage of minorities. That's all it was founded on. That's it. There is you can paint it however you want to paint it, sing how many songs you want to sing and all that shit. But this is what it was founded on. And there are people right now that are willing to tear down this country and burn it down if they don't still get that same thing. We as Democrats, we as liberals need to understand that if you want to change, you have to vote for this change. Sitting at home and acting like, well, since my person didn't get anything, I'm not going to vote. Then you're giving it to this dude.
Yeah, that is a vote.
You're voting for this dude. You can't say that we don't know what's going to happen. No more hindsight. We're not in hindsight now. We already know exactly what the fuck is going to happen.
2020.
2020. See? Ding, ding. So I just want these people to understand, and like I said, I agree totally with what you guys are saying. I just want you guys to, and this is why I was asking Ryan, what will it take? Like, will it? Because there's no scandal that can come from this dude now that's going to make Trump supporters stop. It won't. I never thought I would say this, but when he said he could shoot somebody, I think he's right. He's absolutely right in that.
Oh yeah.
Somebody would say, "Oh, only a badass would do that."
Yeah, exactly.
We need a badass in the White House.
And he likes guns.
Which is a good thing.
I like guns.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's not afraid to shoot a man when he needs to.
Yeah, exactly. That guy was obviously a bad guy.
And your point.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I say, like, I'm really fearful that we're sitting here trying to take so much of the high road. We're trying to take so much of the high road that we are going to shoot ourselves in the foot. We are going to give this dude and just let me tell you guys about the trickle down effect of this. Let's just take for a second policies out for a second, because we know this dude hasn't implemented any policies that have helped you as the middle class or poor. None. If you have any, please write right now and tell us exactly what he's done for you that has helped your life personally as middle class or poor. Don't fucking mention Obama. Don't mention Hillary. Tell me what he's specifically done for you. So that's one thing. So let's take policies out of it for a second. Let's just talk about the trickle down effect of what this means to the average citizen. All right, when you got people, you got a 19-year-old that goes and shoots up a synagogue. You think he did it because Hillary? You think he did it because of Obama? Or do you think he did it because the person that's in charge of the country made him feel that Jews are fucking over him personally? Do you think the dude did it in New Zealand because of that? No. You got to understand. Do you think these churches that were bombed because of? No. All of these things are trickle-down effects of who's in charge of the country.
They've actually not, and it's not even a trickle-down effect. So in some cases, in actually every one of those cases, including the Coast Guard, they've all directly said
Trump.
They are doing Trump's. This is what Trump said.
All the way back to Charlottesville, where this was, and it's not even what he. It's not even that Trump says go shoot up synagogues. Obviously, he's never said that, but he does go out and then sort of soft pedal the criticism, or like, oh,
well,
that's
he does say maybe these liberals need a Second Amendment solution.
Well, or they'll give him more guns,
or he'll say,
that means shoot somebody.
Thoughts and feelings. It's thoughts and prayers, where as if someone like who someone's mother died in a car accident. Like it's like a random thing. This isn't random,
right?
Like like when someone dies tragically and nobody could have prevented it. That's when we say, "Gosh, I'm so sorry for what happened to you." But this is different. There needs to be moral leadership. There needs to be someone who says, "This is wrong, and here's why it's wrong, and we need to stop this."
But the thing is this. The other thing is this. Yeah, he doesn't like people go, "Oh well." They point to Candace Owens, or they point to two black people in the world that like Trump or whatever. As, oh, he's not racist. Look, he carted up a black lady behind him. But here's the thing. Yeah, maybe he doesn't come out and say I'm racist. But look at this week. And I know that the Trumpsters will be like, oh, whatever bullshit. The first time ever, the teacher of the year. You guys saw the teacher of the year?
Yep, black guy.
Was it Rodney? I can't remember his last name. Anyway, black dude. He's not gonna go. Not gonna commend the guy for the teacher of the year.
But you're for everybody.
And
I missed this. He's not gonna commend them.
This is for the first time in decades.
Yeah,
decades.
There's been a few people that haven't gone for other reasons. There's been a few presidents that couldn't go. They were overseas. They were doing, and they sent somebody else, like a vice president or whatever.
Sure.
He's choosing not to go. He wouldn't say why. And
he's not sending.
And he congratulated the number
two pick, who happens to be
in football for the number 2 draft pick, who's a huge.
Oh, I heard
Trump
about
supporter.
this.
Yes, but he didn't say shit about the number
one.
The number 1 guy,
who's a black guy.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm sure it has nothing to do with that, though.
well,
Exactly.
It has nothing to do.
So he's put out these little dog whistles to people, and this is why I keep trying to tell people of color that keep acting like it's not going to be a big deal. He is slowly doing these things to show people in his base he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else except his base.
Are you hearing from people of color that they're not going to vote? Is that why you're?
I saw today. Yeah, that's I'm seeing more and more people that are come up and up saying, "Well, if Biden's doing it, I'm not voting." What's wrong with you? What is wrong? So to me, then that must mean you must be totally okay with how things are going right now. If that's what you're telling me, that this dude.
And did they vote for Obama? These same people?
Yeah.
Which is, Obama picked him to be the guy that takes over
if he dies.
Which was
actually
kind of likely because first black president. If you remember I'll be the first black president.
But here's the issue now is, like I said, when I see, and again, I told you I can totally understand it if a white person says, "Well, I'm cool. I'll stick it out another 4 years with this guy." I get it, especially if you're rich. Totally understand it.
Yeah, if you're rich.
If you're rich, totally makes sense. But if you're not rich, if you're not white, if you're not male, if you're not Christian, guess what? Shit's going to get worse for you. Why? Because these hate crimes aren't going up on some whim shit. They're going up because these people feel like, finally we have somebody in there that will look out for us. The Coast Guard dude, they're releasing him. They're letting him go on his own recognizance until they figure out the fucking case.
The one in San Diego last week for the
Yeah,
weekend.
the
No,
Coast
no,
Guard
no,
dude.
not the San
No,
Diego
no.
one. The one in where is he? What was he like? Louisiana, wherever the
Oh,
the guy that had the stockpile of.
The stockpile of weapons and the
Right.
manifesto to kill. They letting him.
By the way, anytime it is out there, if you know anyone who's writing a manifesto, just call the cops now. Nobody writes a manifesto.
I'm actually writing a manifesto.
Okay, that's it, you guys. Thanks a lot
See
for
you
tuning in. To
White guy beard manifesto. Call the cops. Some of.
That's it for an episode. No, just kidding.
But I mean,
I gotta go.
no. You're writing
A humanist manifesto.
a
There you go.
journal.
Journal,
A
right.
book. You're writing a guidebook, not
Right.
a manifesto.
That's what I meant. Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that's what I said.
But that's why I say it's refreshing to have guests like Ryan on that understand this, because sometimes when I say this to people and I say, well, certain demographics, it's not really a problem for them. For you to agree and understand, Ian knows this too. Ian has agreed as well. But this is why I say, at some point, you're going to have to realize that this dude is not for you. This administration is not for you. Because first of all, they're coming after your Medicare if they haven't taken it already. So you are voting for people that are literally look at Kentucky.
Social Security.
Look at-
Old people
look-
vote for this motherfucker.
Yeah. Look at Kentucky. Look at Mitch McConnell and look at what he's done while he's been in office. You think they're helping you? And part of me, I kid you not, there was a part of me that had nothing but straight anger at these people. And I said, you know what? I hope he fucks every last one of you. I hope you die the worst fucking death possible. There was a part of me that felt like that.
It's like those people you keep hearing. There's like 10 stories now I've seen where somebody was a Trump voter and now their spouse got deported.
Yeah.
And
So,
you're like, and
but-
you're kind
but
of like,
then-
ha, fuck you. But I also feel like,
But that's what I
enough.
said. But then I had to
Yeah.
change that thinking only because I said, you know what? There are parts of the country that really don't know. They don't know.
Right.
And they go by the easiest thing possible. It's just like if you walk into a room, let's just say you walk into a room and let's say it's black people in the room and it's white people in the room. It's a bunch of people in the room. If you are a certain demographic, your natural human instinct is going to be walk in that room and walk close to people that look like you if you don't know anybody. Now, if you know people, of course, you're going to go, oh, this is my friend. This is my friend. But this is why we are where we are as a country. People have just said, well, wait a minute. He looks like me. And, well, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't lie to me. He wouldn't lie to me. And that's why these people are getting caught up. So when they don't look at this is why he said, I love the poorly educated, because he knows that these people won't look up what they're actually doing. It's the bait and switch. It's a common con game. The
well,
shell game.
and Fox News isn't going to report it, and it's going to report
Not
the
at all.
exact opposite anyway.
I mean, here's the thing I would say. Like from a middle class white person's perspective, I know that I have in me a built-in sense that I should be able to take care of myself. So if I can't pay my rent or if I can't provide for my children the way I'd like to, I blame me. And I think that feeling has stretched out to a lot of people. And so I guess the thing I would say is like, elections are time for you to be maximum selfish. Like, ask yourself, what do I need? Do I have everything I need?
Right.
My answer to that question is, I do not have everything I need.
Right.
I need better health care. I need I've been paying on my school loans for 25 years. I have many other things that I feel like I and my family need. Elections are the time to make an inventory of those things,
Right.
and then go out and ask yourself, who best represents the things that I need?
But
If
can
you're
I
an
add-
immigrant, if you're in Arizona and you're Mexican, whether you have your papers or not, like, you should be asking yourself, like, who's on my side here?
Well, can I add to that I also think that we also need to extend it beyond that. And I think everybody here agrees, but we need to say it too. It's not just, what do I need?
Right.
What do the greater amount of people in this country need? What is the greater good of the country? What not only what do I need, what does Ryan need? What does
that's
Ty
a-
need? What do we all need?
But wait a
But
minute.
that's a higher ethic. I mean, that is a much higher ethic, and I agree with you, absolutely. But even if everybody operated at the lower ethic
Hey, Stacey.
Right, it would be better.
of just saying, what do I need? If everybody said, what do I need? Guess what? The people who have the most needs outnumber the people who have all their needs
Right.
met, and we would get the right
But
result.
the problem is that here's the downside of that is a lot of these Trump people and whatever these poor Trump people, they think they're voting for what they need because they're scared,
Yeah.
and what they think they need is white people
Protection.
to protect it. Like that, the black
but
guy's
see-
coming in and he's bringing
but
hip hop
see-
to my neighborhood. Ah!
But Ryan just said something, and I kid you not, it was one of the most important things that I've heard in this entire podcast. He said, and I mean it too. He said, I look at it and I blame I look at myself first. That right there is one of the keys to making shit better. Look at yourself first and say, okay, well, what is it I need to do? Because when someone can come in and tell you, well, you know what? The reason why you're poor is because that black guy over there. Even though that black guy is poor just like you.
Right.
Well, the reason why you don't have a opportunity is because there's people trying to get over that wall over there. Well, if they get over the wall, the system's in place they don't get shit of yours. They don't get Social Security because guess what? You might not even get Social Security because the people up top are taking it. So the fact that he said, I look at myself first and I look and see what is my fault in this? Because if someone keeps telling you that someone else is the reason why you're not getting shit, it is easy for you. Walmart just started this program where they're gonna make all of these robotic things now, floor sweepers, the shelf stockers, and all that stuff. All the things that human beings used to do.
Well, that's why,
just
you know,
wanna-
the guy I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a fan of, but I'm a big fan of a couple of his policies. Andrew Yang. He's all about universal. He calls it something else. He's got a clever name for it. I like it, but it's universal basic income. $1,000 for every person in America, basic income. And the way he picked it, monthly, yes. And he picked that $1,000 because he said the poverty rate is 12,700. That's the base so he said that's
Which is absurd, but yes.
Right, but he said so that's so 12,000 is under that. So you can't technically live on it, which means you still have to work and you still but you can work a little less, you can do other you don't have to struggle as hard if you've
certain
got that
things will be taken care of.
Right. And it's not that much if you do the numbers, if you tax the rich and cut back on our military spending by just like 30%, which we spent what 57% of our budget goes to military.
More than the next 10 countries combined.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could cut that down by 30% and tax the rich, and we could cover that and college and Medicare or Medicare for all. So that is one of these things that to me I'm like that I love that fucking policy. I love that idea. I mean, I don't think we're there yet as a country when we can't. If we don't even want to give ourselves health care, we don't want to give ourselves money.
Well, I just wanted to clarify one quick thing about what you were saying and what I was saying. I think if you're a privileged person, especially, and lots of different ones of us can be privileged in different ways, then looking at yourself, I mean, we should all look at ourselves. What am I doing to create my own problems? I mean, if you are, say, poor, I think the rich, use that to their advantage sometimes too.
Yeah.
Like Chase Bank just had this horrible tweet that Elizabeth Warren had a wonderful reply to. But basically, Chase Bank was like saying, "Your bank account, why am I so empty?" You know, and then you are like, or you're saying, "Why is my bank account so empty?" And then the bank account is saying, "Oh, you went out to the movies too many times, or you went out to eat too many times."
You're not saving.
You know, you're not saving, and it's like basically blaming poor people for their poverty. And I think this is the problem. Like, yes, take an inventory of your own behavior, absolutely, but don't take all of it on yourself. Like, there are structural reasons why people are poor.
But the way it drives me crazy when we're talking about like the Trumpster type people is they'll always go, well, look at the economy, stock market, blah 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 blah, and I'm always like,
how invested are you in the stock market?
Exactly. And it's like, and every time I talk to somebody, they're like, well, I don't really have any of that. And it's like, so then why do you keep drawing to that? Like,
but again,
and then they're like, I can't even save this, I can't even do that. Weren't you just telling me that you had all these, the stock market and that
is an
you have
indicator of your financial wealth?
Right.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't have anything literally personally invested in it, it's nothing for you. And this is to go back to another comment here. Tanya says the poorly educated are their way by design from the right wing. Undereducated people who haven't learned critical thinking. Hey, shout out to the podcast. Critical thinking skills are easy to lead because they've been conditioned to be followers. And this is this is so much more an issue nowadays than it's ever been, because now all they have to do between the dude in office, the his network, because it's really his network, all they have to do is pick keywords, pick certain things, and say, look, all of this is happening against you. All of this is happening against you personally. And these people, for some reason, still believe it. I'm like, I just told you that Walmart they're making robots to take the jobs that regular people do.
Mexican robots?
Damn right. They climbed over the wall.
What color are they painting them?
Yeah, they're brown.
They're brown.
Brown. They come from 3 of the Mexican countries.
Between self-checkouts and all of these types of things. But they've convinced these people who don't have anything that actual other human beings are the problem. Let me tell you something.
Well, they are. They are. The other human beings are the problems are the people who own Walmart.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. They won't blame the people that own Walmart.
No.
They'll blame the person that's standing in line with them asking for an application that looks different than them. And they say, oh, well, look, see, I bet you're going to give it to this brown guy because, you know, whatever. Or you're going to give it to this woman because you have to understand something. The people on top, the reason why they're on top is because they know how to stay on top. That's the only...
manipulate the message.
That's it.
Well, you know, the easiest way to step on top is to stand on the shoulders of everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I mean, honestly, when we talk about poor people, we're talking about like 50 people, like we said before. Like, we're not. I mean, rich people. I mean, it's not like people say, "Oh, tax the rich." Everybody thinks they're about to be rich next week. You know.
Well, and that's the thing. I even like when people like on the when Bernie who killed it on that first Fox.
Oh, that
we all need to go. They all need to go on Fox News, by the way. But when he said when the guy was like, "Well, you're rich. We look at your taxes and you're worth over $1 million or something like that." And he's like, "This tax plan is going to help you. What do you say to that?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, it's going to help me, but I'm still against it, even though it's going to help me." But second of all, Bernie Sanders he's rich. He's not 1%.
No.
Bernie Sanders is, I don't even 10%. Like, you know, when they talk about, the Hollywood elites, most Hollywood elites aren't fucking 1%. We're talking billionaires and hundred millionaires. We're not talking people who make, who've got even $10-20 million, which to me seems insane. $20 million. That's not even elite.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not elite.
Well,
that's not
Warren
what we're
Buffett,
talking about.
Yeah, Warren Buffett's for years been saying you all need to tax me more.
Right.
Like just hello.
Wait,
like,
here's all my poor Republican friends. Well, why didn't he just give up his money for himself then? Someone said that about the Avengers film. They're like, well, it's just liberal elites out there. Why don't they give up their money? I'm sure they would if you taxed them. But why should they just give up their? It's just
we don't want to.
fucking stupid.
We're not
argument.
talking about throwing money away either. We want to put money to good use. And if there are not programs in place to allocate that money in an effective way, then you're just wasting it.
Yeah.
So that's where we need systems to then tax and then distribute that.
If only there was
that
some sort of government that could do that.
some kind of system. What would we call that?
But by the way, we need to wrap up. You need to go to you need to get back. And we're
He has
gonna
to
do
get
it
back from
really
lunch.
quick. Two things we're gonna
And
do.
I haven't even eaten anything.
And before we
These guys
go,
didn't feed me.
water. Come on.
Oh yeah.
This is the food of the poor.
That's right.
And we look at you with your bottled water and your cell phone. You must be part of the
April.
1%.
Yeah.
But really quick, we're gonna do a second episode. We're gonna probably might as well just stay live and we'll drop and we'll start back up. It'll be a second recorded episode. This one comes out this week. The next hour we do will come out next week on iTunes and all of that. But for you people that are Facebook Live, just stay tuned. We're gonna go right into another one in a few minutes. But before we go, I want to do two things that we talked about. One, I want to get you guys' predictions. I want to get who's your favorite candidate, and who do you think, just from what you know, is most likely to win to beat Trump, and why? I want to get each one of you, and then I want to ask you guys about the Trump abortion comments real quick and do a little funny thing about that.
You first.
All right, so who's your favorite? Who's your horse in the race, and then who do you think can win?
My favorite is Bernie.
Okay.
In spite of the fact that he's old and white, I think he does have a clear vision of what's needed for our country, and I actually think he is best positioned to beat Trump. I think he is speaking to the same people who have real needs that Trump lied to about the way he was going to help them. So that's kind of where I stand. I'm not people call me Bernie bro. I'm not a Bernie bro. Like, I think makes mistakes. I just posted on Facebook the other day something that I thought, he should fix the way he talks about something. So I'm not,
Right.
I don't think he walks on water. I don't think he's a savior. I think if he gets elected, we're going to need to hold his feet to the fire the minute
Yep.
he
Yeah.
gets elected. So none of that crap about him being perfect, but so
And they're going to definitely use his comment about prisons against him, which I don't know that he's right or
Yeah.
wrong. I think that the way he mentioned it, the way he said it, was not the
Well-
best way
Well,
to
but
say
then he
it.
doubled down. I think it's great. He said, look, I want to be clear. If somebody asked me about my comment about people in prison voting, I want to be very clear. They should be able to vote.
Yeah.
Well,
But- and
I'm going to be the candidate who stands for more democracy,
I'll
not
tell you
less.
what, and I'll tell you
Right.
what, the one thing I do admire about that people on the left go, oh my God, but I've said it, you've heard me say this a million times, the thing that the people on the right do, George W. Bush, I really saw this a lot, and with Trump, that people admire when the Democrats have not done since fucking Bill Clinton, people admire when you have a belief and you have a stance and you stick to it. So, like, the thing that people didn't like about Hillary Clinton is that she seemed to waver. I don't agree, but they thought that she wavered. Remember John Kerry? They said, "Oh well, 8 years ago you voted for this, and now you're." He goes,
The
"Yeah,
flip-flop
Yeah,
thing.
he's like, "Well, now there's new evidence, and I changed it." But Bush, you could be like, they could be like, "Well, yeah, but now with new evidence," and he'd be like, "I'm sticking to my thing. This is what I stick to my." And he sticks to his guns. He just advocated, killing poor people. Yes, but at least he believes in it. Like, you know what I mean? And that's how it is with Trump. It's like, he's insane, but you know what? He's honest in his insanity. He's an honest liar, and he's
an honest liar, yeah.
He really
You know
sticks
what's
behind
funny?
his
It's
lie.
funny you said that. They did interviews with Trump supporters a while back, and they asked him about his lies, and they said, "Well, they're good lies. He's lying for us."
You know what's funny is I saw this thing that they said that they thought that most people, even Democrats, think that Trump was honest and Hillary is dishonest. And when they found out what that meant, and it makes a shit ton of sense. Even though they said, she's reported to tell the truth like 98% of the time, and his truth was like 10% of the time, and they said even with that, people said yes. But what they mean by honesty is they feel like she's telling the truth for political gain and doesn't believe it, and he's lying, but at least he believes in what, and that's what they meant by honest. Yes, she's telling the truth, but she's dishonestly telling the truth. He's lying, but he's honestly lying, and so therefore he's more trustworthy. Like that's
I gotta
really
be. It's very rare, to be honest with that.
That's like
that I feel like
four-dimensional
this.
chess.
it's crazy.
But I wanted to shoot myself in the face just now when you just said that.
That's literally
That's
don't
how.
do it.
Yeah, don't
That's
do
how.
it now.
That's how annoying that was
Let-
that
let-
people think like
let
that.
Trump do it on Fifth Avenue. All right,
Hilarious.
so.
I would agree. I'm going to agree with Ryan on that and say I believe that Bernie is the best choice. The reason why I say that is because I know that this dude has well intentions. I mean, because he doesn't have to. The dude is old and rich. He doesn't really have to do what he's doing. He doesn't have good, but he has policies that make sense. And I think he could win if the Democrats do not pull the same thing that they did before. Now, what you should do, if you really want this to happen, is I think you should do a double ticket. You want to get Biden and Bernie, whoever, Warren and Bernie. Combine the two.
You don't know why they never fucking do that.
That's what I'm saying. Combine the two.
Beto and Harris,
Be-
if that's
Beto-
who, whatever. Like,
you know,
put two fucking
combine
good people
combine
that-
these two, and then you'll have a winning ticket. I figure if you do it that way. I will say that honestly, again, you have had people get so used to this dude lying that it doesn't matter anymore with him. They're so used to the corruption that it doesn't matter. This is why I say, when you get Republicans that act like they post the collage pics of Biden, touching people, and I'm like, they act like this dude didn't brag about grabbing pussy. I'm like, I'm sorry, do you care about sexual assault? Because your post makes it look like you care about sexual assault.
Trump,
Right.
Trump teased Biden about grabbing women.
Do you see what I'm saying? So they have already reserved themselves to say, as long as our guy is doing it, we don't care.
Yeah.
So Democrats have to come out of this mindset of thinking that you're going to find the perfect person. The perfect
I still think
candidate
the
does
perfect
not
candidate
exist.
was Al Franken.
I think we need
fucking
to
love
have,
Al
Now,
Franken.
hey, why isn't
motherfucker
he
should run.
fucking running?
I think we need to get. I think that whoever we nominate has to play hardball, and I think that's
Absolutely.
because Trump is coming for you. Like he is going to troll you hard.
Yeah.
If you are.
And he's going to make up he's going to come out and say,
whatever he wants to say.
whatever the fuck he wants to say and lie, and his people are going to believe it.
They're gonna buy it.
And we
Like-
can't do,
like
as
the
much as I
abortion.
love Michelle Obama, I love her to death. We cannot do the when they go low, we
yeah,
go
stop
high.
that.
No,
We
fuck
gotta
that.
stop that. We gotta.
They have no.
When they
have
go
no
low, we kick them in the dick.
Yeah,
that's my
But they
version.
have no low. They have literally have
Yeah,
no
exactly,
low.
Exactly. There is no. There is nothing.
There's-
so
yeah.
really quick, and I just want to see if you guys get a take on this. We were talking about this. Trump, speaking of his lies, he came out and said that late-term abortions
right.
were when the baby's born. They wrap the baby. The quote. They wrap the
Hold on,
baby.
I'm
in
getting
the,
my gun ready because I want
Have
to
you
shoot
heard it?
myself in the
Have
face
you heard
again.
it? He says they wrap the baby in a blanket. They wrap the baby in the blanket. They give it to the mother, and then this is what he said. Then they execute it. That's what he said. The baby's born. They wrap it in a blanket.
Do
they
the thing you
give it
did.
to the mother.
Say the thing. You got to say the thing right, Ryan. When you
So
say
then
the
I'm
thing-
curious, like how they're going to execute it. So I'm
Right.
curious. I'm like, okay, well, do they have like scalpels there? And they're like, well, are you going to stab it or am I going
Right.
to stab it? The doctor's like, well, why don't you do it? I mean, it's your baby. Well, you're the doctor.
Let's do it together.
I wanna make
And then we
sure-
won't know which one died. 1, 2. Oh, you'll be going on 3 or 1, 2, 3, then go.
Or maybe smothering it with a pillow would be better. We were saying.
A
So-
Hello
Yes.
Kitty, a Hello Kitty pillow would be the most
Ideal.
humane.
Why
Yeah,
don't
most humane.
why don't they wrap it in a plutonium blanket or uranium and let it die slowly of
Or cellophane. You can just
Yeah.
wrap it.
Oh,
in
you can do
cellophane.
that. You just wrap the whole face in the blanket.
Right.
Here's what's crazy about it. And
That's
this
a
is
late-term
this is-
abortion, by the way. That's what
this
they're
is
doing
what
in
I
New York.
mean.
You know what? And they do it every day, by the way. This is birth control now.
Yeah, but
That's
this is
what
what I mean.
Whoa.
This is what I mean by the fact that he not only did think about what would just because we're not making up anything to just happen. Okay, he has literally said this. The fact that he has the confidence to go in front of a group of people, in front of a TV camera, and say this dumbass shit, and people behind him. That's not the scariest part. Is not him saying it because we already know where he is. The scariest part is that it's adults behind this dude cheering it on. I'm like, are you fucking kidding
Right.
me?
Like the 2 black guys they could find in the audience of like 20,000, they put like right behind him. And
That's my African American friend.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, we got to let Ryan go. He's already all right. So listen, you guys. This has been as Ian said, we will do another episode right now. But we want to thank our guest
Ryan Bell.
Tell them how to find you.
How do you find
Can
Ryan Bell?
I can beg for attention now.
Please.
Yes. Go
Okay, give me attention. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan J. Bell. I have a podcast that's pretty different than this one, but also cool, called Life After God, where I talk about people who have lost their faith and what that's like and what it means to like build a new worldview after you've been religious and aren't anymore. So you can find that at lifeaftergod.org.
Cool.
Thanks. And Secular Student Alliance.
Secular Student Alliance. When is that open to conference?
Yeah.
Is that open to people?
Yeah, secular students.
USC.
Yeah, so if you go to secularstudents.org, you can learn about the nonprofit that I work for, where we support secular, non-religious students around the country. And the conference is coming up July 12 to 14, and these 2 fine gentlemen.
Oh, that's what we were just talking about you in New York. Shoot.
Oh, you're going to be in New York?
Wait, when is
No,
it?
no,
again?
July 12th through 14th.
We're doing our planning right here, right now.
I know. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Well,
we can figure that out.
well, hopefully these guys are going to do, at least
Yes,
Ian will.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I really just want Ty.
I know.
They come as a
He
package.
he knows me.
They
so
come
it's
as a
like-
package, so I guess I got to deal with it.
We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
All right.
Yeah. So
Thanks,
come
guys.
out. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
being had.
Yeah, thank you.
bro.
Appreciate
Sweet.
it so much.
Good
All right,
job, man.
Everyone else, stay tuned. 2 seconds.
Stay tuned. Critical and thinking.
And
All
for
right.
those people listening on iTunes and Stitcher, this has been a good another episode. We'll see you next week.
Peace.